Hey guys, welcome back to Algo's Explained. My name is David Kim, and today I'm going to bring you a kind of run through of LeetCode, the way that I used it for my process in job hunting, job searching. In the process of me solving questions on here in term with the strategy that I posted in my last video. So in the last video, if you haven't watched that, go ahead and go watch it. But if you are coming from it, you know that I did press a lot on using LeetCode as your main algorithm platform. I know on my channel specifically, I have a lot of Code Wars videos, but as I was creating that strategy, I went ahead and tried out LeetCode, and it just proved a lot better for me in terms of having the array of questions that I wanted, and I like the way that it allowed me to visualize trees. I just didn't find that functionality in Code Wars. I'm not sure if they ever had it, but if they did, I couldn't find it. LeetCode just made it really easy, and so um, this is LeetCode.com right here, and as you can see, there is a lot going on. But today, I wanted to focus really on the key things that I used to get myself to where I needed to be in terms of using that strategy to its fullest potential. And so, let's go ahead and get started. First thing you're going to do when you sign on is you're going to see this page. This is the home page, as you can tell from the URL. And you're going to see a lot of things, especially on the notifications. You're going to constantly get contest invitations or something like that. Me personally, I didn't do any of the competitions just because I was focused on a strategy. I wanted to get algorithms. I wanted to get algorithm practice. And yes, contests are fun ways to do it, but at the same time, I knew I needed to grind down. And so from here, what I would probably do is go straight to problems right over here. LeetCode Explore Problems. And once you're here, depending on which day it is, depending on the schedule that I've written, if you're following that verbatim, you can go ahead and look for which kind of topics that you wanted to go to. You have seen some nice graphs here, how much you've solved, attempted. These are probably most of the hard ones, medium ones I've mostly gotten. To-dos. There are tons of questions on LeetCode, so you probably won't run out of them. And I have done this process without having to sign up for the paid version. I know that there are some really good questions out there that I like try to take a look at, and I'm like, oh, this will benefit me a lot. But it turns out sometimes it's part of like a paid program where if you don't sign up for the subscription on LeetCode, you don't get to do it. When you do run something like that, just Google it because most likely it will be on the internet somewhere, and along with the question and along with the answer. And so if you ever run into something like that, just Google it. If not, LeetCode is still probably my top recommendation. What I would do is I would go over, well, if you're, because the study plan is focused on algorithms, we are in the algorithm space. If you are probably maybe needing to study for a higher level position, maybe you want to do a little bit more on like operating system design or system design, whatnot. But in terms of this being supplemental to the last video, I would go straight over to topics. If you scroll down to your right, you're going to see this here. You could even go here too if you want to. I think I did dabble in some of these specific companies. But for the most part, in terms of going straight to what you want to focus on that day, go ahead and pick whatever you want to do. And so maybe you want to do something like tree practice and you're going to want to do some depth first search. Go ahead and click it. And you can see there are 92 questions there, and that is everything including the easy, medium, and hard questions. And so once that's here, you could do all your easy, medium, and hard on this one, or you can space it out, whatever you want to do. But I would, I think at some point I was getting a lot of the easy ones done, like this one, subscribe to unlock. I have a lot of the easy ones done already, so I was focusing on the medium ones. If you click on difficulty, it will just gather them up for you. And so here are all the easy ones. Those are all the medium ones, all the hard ones. And so let's go ahead and look at one question and see how we can tackle this. Or we're not going to solve it. I already have the answer right there. But we're going to see, okay, if we got stuck, how are we going to approach it? And so one thing that I did mention to do was that if you couldn't get it out, if you were totally stuck, and for a medium question, I do encourage you to struggle with it a lot more than with the hard ones. With the hard ones, I forget which time frame I specifically said, but I wouldn't pass 30 minutes. Just go to the Discuss tab, and you will find solutions here. Maybe not in your language, so let's look for JavaScript. Script, solution, and see, there are solutions here. This guy uses it specifically, and so if you wanted to look at here, look at his strategy and kind of understand what he did, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that, especially if you've really put in the time to kind of try to figure it out in your head first. Sometimes you won't find your language there, and so maybe I couldn't find JavaScript, but there's a Java one, and so he even has two solutions here: recursive and iterative. And so if we look at this, it might be in a different language, and if you don't have experience with other languages other than the one that you are comfortable testing with, then um, maybe dabble in it a little bit. Actually, at this point, I encourage you not to. Uh, if you don't find your solution on LeetCode like this, and if you're not able to look at a different language and look at their solution and kind of re-strategize that into your language, just Google it because your solution will be in your language on in the internet somewhere. But if you can help just looking at this, I think that for me, yeah, I just never really Googled the solutions in my specific language because I know how to read like different languages and stuff. And if you just tackle that too, it's not going to be too hard. So we can see this guy has his main function here. He has a helper function right over here. Base case, returning the helper call. The helper call is probably going to be a recursive. So this is the recursive formula going on the left side and the right side because we were trying to do tree traversal. And so that would be one way to do it, especially for the hard questions. If you struggle with it a lot for a good amount of time and you feel, okay, now's the time to just go ahead and look at the solution, do it. And maybe even for some of the medium ones too, you'll be solving the questions and you feel like you really got it, but at the same time, you don't know why it's not compiling at one or for one test case. Then go to the discussion and see if someone else complained about it. I remember in some questions there were like a couple questions where I was solving it in JavaScript, and for some reason it would always time out. And later I found out, hey, that's just the language. That's just how the language is a little bit slower than the other ones, and so nothing I could do about that. I brought it over to the just my console on my desktop, and I ran the same um, my same solution with their same test case that I was failing, and I passed it. And so you can kind of find satisfaction in that. But other than finding the solutions through discussion, there is another way to find solutions, and that is after you have put in a solution. And so at this point, you can go to solution and or well, hey, I don't. This is kind of new. Back when I was doing it, it was a different one. But um, if we submit the code, one thing that I find very valuable is finding this runtime. And so that means that we can compare it by clicking details. Here I submitted it, which brought up this little section in the submissions tab, and I clicked on details. And so that brought this page, and this page was hugely useful to me because I was able to see, hey, this is where my runtime is. It only beats that much. So my solution here is very slow, and these guys are even slower. But the best thing about this is that you can actually click on one of these guys and you can see their solution in your language. And so maybe you were taking it from a different language, you barely transferred it over to JavaScript or whatever language you're doing it, and it still feels messy to you. Well, you can go to this submission details page and really see how other people of your language configure their code to make it work for this question. And so this one is pretty easy to click on in terms of clicking on this yellow bar. But sometimes there are so many solutions that are so spread out. You see how this one, um, it came out in, what is this, 350 milliseconds, and this one took barely like, I don't know, 60, 70 milliseconds, 64 milliseconds. As this range is wider, these are going to be harder to click on. And so when that happens, what you do is come to this smaller box down here and just highlight a space. And boom, now these boxes become huge and you can just click it and you can see his solution. I don't know why it's not letting me scroll. There we go. you should be able to see their entire solution like that. Yeah, I don't know why this is not letting me scroll, but this guy was not far behind, and maybe it's my computer because I can't scroll this one anymore. But anyways, you guys get the point. Hopefully you guys don't run into that same little glitch that I'm running into. But you can highlight it, you can look at the code, and find like the best solution there. A lot of times I do get a solution, and sometimes it's the fastest one out there, sometimes it's not. And so when it's not, I encourage you to at least take a look at how they came up with their solution and try to see, okay, what makes their solution faster? Did they save on? Did they use more space to save on time, something like that? And anytime your solution is going to be a lot smaller or a lot slower than someone else's, be sure to calculate the runtime, the big O, of both your solution and theirs, and see, why is theirs so much faster. Maybe they're using better data structure, something like that. But that was pretty much. Hopefully this is a short video. I don't know, but that's pretty much it for this one. I would say again, just to go over the key points. Focus on doing these questions rather than all the fun little contests and articles that you could read here. Um, if you get stuck, go to the discussions and take one of these solutions and try to use it to translate into your language. That way, once you do submit something, you can go into the submissions and activate this success in details so that you can, at that point, go into this details page and see how you compare with other people and see, okay, if I'm not at the top of my game, then what did they do to get there that I didn't do? And so it's always good to compare because you'll improve your game like that. And so I hope you found this video useful. Hopefully you can use that strategy that I posted in my last video to help you get to where you want to go in terms of being ready and prepared for all stages of the interview. Thanks very much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you later. Bye.